You again, American Food Innovate, for having me on. I'm very excited to show a little information that I've been working on. So what I'm going to actually do this for you, everybody, is I'm going to show a little bit of history of Tom Carvel and Carvel ice cream. And Carvel ice cream is a soft serve ice cream predominantly. That's what they're known for. That's what Tom Carvel's history is all about. I'm going to share some consumer insights and flavors for ice cream. And then I'm going to share some dairy-free frozen products and treats based mostly on oat milk products, the R&D process that I use, and how working with my marketing team, our testing, and then our rollout. So let's get started. So Carvel ice cream is an 87-year-old brand. Tom Carvel was born in 1906. His parents were from Greece. They came over here into America in 1910. The father was a wine chemist. The mother was a homemaker. He had 6 brothers and sisters, and they all were very supportive with him when his empire started growing. He married a woman named Agnes Stewart in 1937, but they never had any children. So prior to Tom Carvel becoming, the king of soft serve ice cream, he had a variety of careers. He was a drummer in a Dixieland band. He auto test driver for Studebakers, and he was a mechanic. He was also very keenly like an engineer type in the sense of, just anything that was mechanical. And he ends up like really he does create the first soft serve machine. Early in his life, he was diagnosed with tuberculosis. He was forced to leave the city and move to the country in Westchester County, New York. And he had an idea that he wanted to sell ice cream in a truck during like times of, fairs and big, family outings that were happening within that New York area. And at one point when he started getting going, he asked Agnes for like $15 so he could get this vending truck and ice cream. And at that time, $15 today, or that time is like around $300 today. So in 1934, he's driving up to this fair on Memorial Day weekend, and he had enough ice cream for, a couple of days for the event. And as luck has it, his truck ended up getting a flat tire in Hartsdale, New York, and he had to kind of like drive his flat tire truck into this, potting store. And what he did for the next 2 days was just sell ice cream out of that truck. He sold it all out, but the one thing that he was kind of like keenly aware of was the fact that the ice cream was really getting soft. And at one point, he had to hook up his electricity in there to keep everything going. But the consumer at that time had never had ice cream that soft before. And it was really something kind of magical. I mean, people were just loving it. So he ended up staying in that parking lot for about a year. And he learned that a fixed location really was profitable. And in 1936, he bought that pottery store and opened the first Carvel store. He also, during that period of 1936, had a patent for a soft serve machine that he had been working on, and also created the formula that also had a patent for the mix. And again, this mix we're still using to this day. There's a few things that have changed, such as stabilizers and stuff like that, but as far as the flavor and everything else, it's authentic from what it was in the past. So along with him creating this soft serve machine, he actually perfected it during like the 1940s. And what he did, which was, was kind of a cool thing, because, it was in the 40s, 42, and, we're at war with Europe and Japan. And what he did is he set up some soft serve machines in which he was trying to work on refrigerant and freezing temperatures. And he offered all the free mix for the support of the troops that were going to be leaving and fighting for us. And he did this all at Fort Bragg. But among other things that he did as an innovator was he was a marketing genius, really. He was the first one to come up with the buy one, get one free. He was the first one really to even start franchising. He started gift certificates. He was the first with that. He was the first with plastic packaging. He was the first also with round ice cream sandwiches, which people that, if you're going to Carvel, we call them flying saucers. And he was the first CEO to do radio and TV ads. He ran Carvel for 55 years, and by 1989, he sold the company to Investcorp. By 1990, shortly after he had left, there was 800 units throughout the United States. He had trademarked also America's Freshest Ice Cream. He was a regional celebrity of TV and radio, and he passed away shortly after he retired in 1990. Investcorp took on the role of Carvel, and their major focus during that time was that they wanted to get the ice cream cakes that another legend that Tom Carvel created into supermarkets. And I think during that time period, the franchisee suffered quite a bit with that. In 2001, Work Capital bought Carvel, and their focus mostly is the partnership with franchisees. And Work Capital is still part of us right now, but Focus Brands has 8 brands, and they're all franchise together. They're all with franchise stores and everything, all these different brands. And the one thing that's really important is that friendship or partnership that we try to have with our franchisees. So what I'd like to share with you now is just some kind of insights with ice cream. Also, I want to share some flavors, and then just kind of like how my R&D method is, and then working with my marketing team and how we create our test products, and how we move forward with everything. What I have here is Saputo Ice Cream Dairy is our ice cream company that we work with. Our flavor companies are Weber and Pregel. Barry Calbut just has like some awesome information on just insights with ice cream and non-dairy products. And Data Essential is kind of like, like my go-to book, as far as like statistics and everything. So the love of ice cream, the most loved dessert is ice cream. 90% of US consumers said that they love or like ice cream, higher than any other dessert out there. 83% of all consumers have either purchased or have purchased for someone else in the past 6 months. So consumer insights with consumer motivations are kind of mixed, indulgent and in health. 43% of all consumers are motivated to try new ice cream by indulgent flavors. And then 1 in 3 ice cream consumers are motivated to try new ice cream, a better for you kind of claim. And this is really kind of driven mostly with the millennials and centennials, very, very much in view of the better for you claims. And in general, centennials and millennials are more apt to try something different, as other age groups are kind of consistent in what they, it's something that they like, they just kind of stay with. So during COVID, Anxious provides comfort and nostalgia to anxious consumers. And then again, 51% of all consumers associate ice cream with comfort, 27% nostalgic, and 45% report that ice cream is their favorite indulgence. And just to kind of share with you, like last year at this time, it was really bad for everybody. Restaurants were closed. It was just really hard for everybody. And I really, it was just tough. We had started a third-party delivery about a year and a half, almost 2 years prior to COVID. And we had probably about 70 to 75% of our franchisees on board with at least one. Some of them had 2 or 3 different, plans, are, people that they were dealing with, the Grubhubs and all the other ones that are out there. And what ended up happening is that we did extremely well through third-party delivery. And again, I contribute to all these statistics right here, the comfort, nostalgic, indulgence, because we ended up doing from 2019, we did 3 times as much third-party delivery than we did, in 2019. It was quite a jump for us. And then right here, this is showing frozen desserts, ice cream and novelties, and cookies have a high snacking purchase intent with consumers. Again, it's very portable. It's, it's usually very affordable. And again, if you can't eat it all, you can just freeze it. So it has a great shelf life. And again, this is kind of like showing with that whole indulgent, nostalgic, kind of a thing. We sold lots of ice cream. We sell, we have a thing called Dashers, which is kind of like a parfait, which sold very well. And then what really sold well was the frozen novelties. And again, the flying saucer cracker that I was just talking about with Tom Carvel. We also do a chipster, which is like a chocolate chip ice cream cookie. And again, third-party delivery, it was very good. And just to kind of share with you too, our franchisees make everything in-house. I mean, they make the flavors for the ice cream. We have a base, but if there's a certain flavor that I'm running for an LTO, they make that. There's a recipe for it. They're making the all these products, ice cream cakes, the flying saucers, all sorts of frozen novelties as well. So just to kind of give you an idea that we're very, very busy during this time. So what I'm going to share with you now is just some companies that I work with. Weber Flavor has been, we've been with Weber for about 9 years now. They're a great partner. And generally what I get is on a quarterly basis, I get usually a top 15 flavor profile. And then on the other side, I get a kind of like up and coming trends. I usually love this report right here that I get through Data Essential. And again, you can kind of see where the inception to ubiquity is, in which the span is. And generally when I'm creating LTOs or test products, I'm usually working right in the middle. Last year, when we were working on the whole COVID thing, we still were able to run 2 LTOs, and I did a salted caramel, and I also did a vanilla bourbon toffee, which was a combination of toffee with the bourbon flavor. And again, both of those products did very well for us. And this right here is just kind of like for myself. I kind of like go through what, the menu types of what it is, and again, the application of the frozen treat and sundaes. And if you kind of dive deep into it, you can find exactly what kind of, is it a cheesecake or, carrot cake or whatever. And then as you pair your flavors, you can also see, some of them are pretty standard, but again, cinnamon is really huge now. Apple, vanilla bean, all those are really good flavors for pairing. This report right here is kind of like what I, kind of like it's really drawn into, because you can see the growth and the penetration of what, of that product that's out there in the field, and so what I'm going to just share with you now is just something that I had been working on over a year ago, in which I felt that the product was really strong for us and we needed to, present it as an LTO to our franchise community. And it's the top left one, churro. And again, everywhere you go now, you can, it's pretty much everywhere out there in the system as far as just a flavor profile. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like, how cold brew is now and how it's been, just the name and everything. So we had, so I worked with a company called Continental Mills, and we created a test last year for it. And again, we were lucky to get a couple of tests through, and this one was probably started the latter part of the summer. So again, we weren't really expecting great results, but matter of fact, what came back as far as consumer participation and the shops that wanted to be involved with it was very, very successful. So I'm just going to kind of go through what we did as far as marketing. So I usually present, we do a tasting here at the R&D Center. And from there, I give them all the information that we had just talked about. From there, we go into the marketing. We pick the stores, and then from there, the marketing, kind of like we do a photo shoot, and I always present a portfolio of what we're going to do rather than just one item. So first and foremost, always up front will be our soft serve ice cream, because that's what we're known for. And then what I usually do is create scooped ice cream for it, and then a couple of other alternatives, a milkshake, or what we call as a dasher, which is on that far left right there, an indulgent, soft serve ice cream built with caramel and crunch that we made in-house. And then generally we pick the stores, and generally they have to be always with 3 soft serve machines so that they can produce this product, as well as, so that they can, serve the customer and everything. Generally, we have a bunch of questions that we do, specific, age group, the appearance, the taste, the value. How did you find out about this? Because we always put a lot of marketing out there for these test shops. Then what we do is after 6 to 8 weeks, we compile all the information from, the test shops, and generally the person that's filling out the survey will get a free ice cream cone. They usually put their address on the bottom of that the survey sheet that you see right there. They get a free ice cream cone. We get a lot of great information. And then from there, we see how well it does. And generally when we're doing this, we're trying to figure out that we want, at least taste-wise and appearance-wise, somewhere in the 90%. And we also looking for how often would you come back for this product? And what we're looking for is, very likely, and, in that they would probably come back once a month, or, 2 to 3 times a month. So what I like to do right now is I'm going to go into, we've been doing sorbet for like the last 3 years, and it's been doing very well for us. Saputo makes our base for us. They do a great job, and can't beat it. I mean, we're actually promoting another flavor this year, and so we'll have 3 sorbet flavors. But I was also working on plant-based. Again, it's really big out there, as we all know. So I was kind of like drawn to oat milk. Oat milk had like a really good flavor when it was frozen, kind of almost the same mouthfeel that you would have as with ice cream. It really takes in the flavor very well. You're not getting any kind of like whatever the other plant-based flavor is. It's pretty neutral. So when I presented this over a year ago to our franchise community, I just kind of wanted to let them know that, the menu instance of dairy-free items in the US is actually growing a lot, pretty steady. And then dairy alternative options are quickly growing. Over the last 10 years, you can see the continuous growth. In the next 5 years, it's predicted to be over $1 billion in sales. And then with plant-based milks, again, you can't beat almond milk. It's a great flavor. It performs really well. But again, I was drawn to oat milk, and oat milk is the fastest growing type of plant-based milk out there. Dollar sales of oat milk grew 222% in the past year, and over 284% in the last 2 years. And this was a slide that was from April of 2019. If you go out there now, like everybody's trying to be part of it. Rich's has its own thing. Chobani's doing it. You go into Starbucks, that's what they're frothing with as well, even like Dunkin' Donuts. So it's a big thing that I don't think is ever going to leave. And as you can see right here in 2020, non-dairy ice cream alternatives, the sales at 477 million with a 14% growth is tremendous. And then right here is right here was just kind of like showing you more continuous growth. As you can see, like back in 2015 and 17, the growth was at 6%. Through 2020 in November, the increase is like 27%. It's huge. And then this is something that kind of like stands out too. And again, it's contributed to both millennials and centennials, but dairy food claims of 20% have grown in the last year or two. 10% of all US consumers are avoiding dairy, and it's even higher among millennials and centennials at 15%. And it's not really based on even like allergens or whatever, it's just a choice that people are making. And globally, dairy alternative market is predicted to be worth over 19.5 billion in 2020. And the United States is actually the one that's leading in innovation with all sorts of these plant-based and products. So it's something pretty cool to think about. So as like I was talking about dairy products and ice cream and soft serve, vanilla is always the king. It's always the number one, and it actually outsells in some cases 3-to-1 to chocolate. But it's the total opposite with dairy-free products. Chocolate is the number one flavor. It's the gold standard. And then again, so last year I was working with, actually before COVID, I would say almost a year and a half ago, I've been working with a company called GS Gelato. They're based out of Fort Walton, Florida. And what I was trying to do is create a frozen product that could be delivered to the franchisee. Again, like I was saying before, they make everything in-house. The labors can sometimes be pretty, strenuous for them as far as a dollar amount. So I'm trying to create products that are just come off the truck and they can scoop right in their cabinet, save a bunch of labor. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, they're all $15 an hour for minimum wage. So I'm just trying to think of ways in which we can help them out. So we created 3 products through GS Gelato. We did a chocolate, and we also did a raspberry swirl crunch. And then I just wanted to test another sorbet flavor. With the 2 oat milk products, the chocolate and the oatmeal, I created also milkshakes for them as well, using oat milk and then using the scooped ice cream. Overall, this was probably one of the best tests we did. And what was crazy is that we started this test in October, which is like freezing up in, New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. And we were selling great amount of product on a weekly basis, in which our vendor, our DC, was like very happy with, because generally it's, you got to sell 5 cases of something a week before they start getting like a little antsy with holding on to products. So again, we did very well. The chocolate, definitely outsold everything else that we had in there. And very excited. It looks like we're probably going to hopefully start the same product launch in October of this year. And with that, I'm going to be wrapping up my presentation. I want to thank you all who had listened to this and this presentation. And if we have any questions, feel free to ask. Thanks.